Hello, my lovings, and welcome back to another Found Show. I'm Jacob Bookstore, and today I want to start this 5-star prediction video as I have no idea how long this is going to be because we're only covering one book. So I figured let's go ahead and jump into this while I'm still really early inside the novel. I want to say I'm probably about 25% into it. I just got it from the library. I've been reading it on Everand. I think I might switch over to the library copy instead of the Everand copy that I paid for. Everand does not track your progress. It's like a shit app now. It does work for this purpose. They have a lot of new releases on there and stuff, so it works for like when I'm trying to film a video. I think that's $14 or something it is a month for the 3 unlocks. It does work for like a 25 and 25. It's hard to recommend it to people who are not content creators or who are not trying to read the newest release when it comes out, because I don't really see a point in you doing it. That being said, I did start over there, and I think I'm about 25% into it. This is Emily Henry's newest release, and speaking of track record, because we did mention track record in the last video with Stephen Graham Jones being one of my favorite authors, who is Emily Henry to me? What do I love from her? What do I not like from her? I realized that there's only one book I can think of that's constantly not a 5-star. Even Book Lovers, which I gave a 4.5 at one point. I need to go back and rewatch my vlog talking about Book Lovers, but it's feeling like a 5 in my heart, in my opinion. But the one book that I'm talking about is People We Meet on Vacation, and that was because the relationship just fell flat for me, so it was a 4.5. Everything else was practically perfect. It was just the relationship. This one feels very Taylor Jenkins Reid. When I first started reading it, I was like, oh my god, am I in Someone Heaven's Emma Hugo? Very similar concept. Julia Wayland's also reading the audiobook, which means that it also sounds like Evelyn reading it to me, which I do think is throwing my brain off a little bit. The romance is really heavy really early on. I saw some reviews and I was like, oh, I haven't seen it yet, and then like 23% into it I was like, oh, so this is about attraction, not like substance. Okay, we'll see how this works. I had a huge problem with this in a previous Emily Henry, so I have a feeling it's not going to work for me here either, which means that it's more likely not going to be a 5-star. Everything needs to work on all cylinders. It does feel more literary fiction than romance, which I'm not minding. I like Emily Henry's writing enough that the verge between the two genres doesn't make a difference to me, but I would like the preference I hear. It follows a woman. She ends up finding a old actress, Scarlett, who wants to tell her life story. Evelyn Hugo, maybe. And essentially, she has to track her down, and then she gives her a pitch saying, I want to write your book. Please let me write your book. And then this guy shows up, and he's like, I'm going to write your book, and I can do it better, and here's my resume, and it's amazing, and hers is not. And so this woman ends up giving them both the job for a month-long trial period. They both give the same stories, everything, and they get to work their stories out, and she'll read it. Whoever wins this competition throughout the month ends up getting to be on the job and work with her, and then they'll sell it to highest bidder because she's like someone who was really popular 20 years ago, and then she disappeared and everybody wants to know where she's at. Now we're getting the inside scoop, and that's essentially the basis of the plot. We are learning more about this girl's life, which is interesting. I'm enjoying that aspect of the story as well, and I like this main character quite a bit, actually. I also don't mind the love interest. He is pretty typical Emily Henry love interest, but I'm a big fan of them, so I can't complain. Don't ask me to compare though. I still think Charlie is my favorite. I don't know. I really liked Happy Place. I really liked the last one that just came out last year, which should have been a 5-star prediction because shit, that was good. So that's where we're at. I will update you either when I finish it. If I finish it today, I don't think I'm going to, I'm going to be honest. I have a lot of other things going on. So I'll update you as I get a little bit further, as I should be reading the next, 15 or 20% today. Anyway, I'm excited. Hello, let me update you guys. I had finished now, so we'll hold it up. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I went ahead and purchased it because I was like, I feel like it's gonna be probably most a 5, and it's our first 5-star prediction video, I think, where we actually landed on a 5. Second, Don't Fear the Reaper is the first. See, if you go with legendary authors, you get legendary results. SGJ, super close to being a 5 this year as well. Emily Henry was on the verge of a 4.5 and a 5 almost the entire time. However, I feel like I didn't really explain the plot very good in the previous clip, so we're just gonna jump from there. I don't really have any twists or turns to talk about. I feel like everything that was in here, I feel like if you're not someone who reads like mysteries and stuff, I feel like it could be pretty cool to figure out the plot by. However, this is not an original idea. I mean this in a way that like it really reminds me a lot of Taylor Jenkins Reid, to the point where at some points I was like, okay, this is weird. Like we're talking like a mix of Daisy Jones and the Six and Evelyn Hugo all combined into one book, which I think could work for a lot of people if that's something you're interested in. As we're following our main character, Alice, she ends up tracking down a woman named Margaret, who was really, really popular like 30 or 40 years ago, and then she disappeared. And she ends up tracking her down, and Margaret ends up offering her a possible job to write her memoir and tell all the secrets that everybody wants to know, because the family that she's in, the Ines family, is still a part of main pop culture phenomenon. So they believe it could sell really, really well, and there's a lot of answers that a lot of people wanting for many years that she took with her when she left. When she gets there, she does a great interview, and then Hayden Anderson shows up, and he has also a phenomenal interview. Margaret said, I'll give you guys both a month to start your projects. I will read them at the end of the month, and I will basically, based on your pitch and things, what you want to do with the novel, that person will win and get the prize. And you also, in this month-long period of time, you see Alice and Hayden get closer and closer, because it is a literary fiction novel, I would say more on the lines of women's fiction, with a tash bit of very spicy romance. I will not lie, it's not really spicy right off the get-go. Probably it takes about half, if maybe more, of the book to get there, but it is very spicy. It's the most spiciest Emily Henry's ever spiced. So if you're looking for spice, here you go. A lot of people had problems with the relationship, so I guess we'll start with them in particular. I really like Alice as a main character. I feel like she had a lot of baggage that really made sense. It's a lot of the same things Emily Henry started about in previous books with her other protagonists. However, this one did feel like it was a bit more of an edge to it for some reason, and I really enjoyed it. The humor here wasn't as strong, which I think I liked. I think it really added a nice balance of the drama. Also, interestingly enough, we do explore situationships and stuff also in here, which I also always find fascinating how people see those. Hayden, on the other hand, has a very complicated backstory, which made his character very nuanced and made every little element that ends up coming into the story, whatever it might be, working on all levels. The town that they're in also plays a big character in the novel, and I also do think the setting works like extremely well. There's a lot of moments. However, because I do know some people wish this wasn't a romance novel at all, and it just followed Alice and Margaret on this journey, and Hayden could have just been a guy friend or something along those lines. Some people even are championing Emily Henry to jump off the romance train and just write women's fiction, and I don't agree with that. I think she has something here for sure, but I think all of the elements, personally for me, all worked really well together, and I couldn't imagine taking away one of those elements, or I think the whole book would fall apart. At least, once again, personal opinion. However, when you're looking at it from that perspective, as if Hayden shouldn't be here, I can understand where some people are coming from with the B plot storyline, or I guess the A plot storyline. Hearing about Margaret's life, I feel like could be enriched in certain ways without this romance in the way. However, once again, it all worked for me, and I was pleasantly satisfied with every storyline going around. And once again, it's just a 5. It's a beautiful 5-star. It did make me cry. I had a bit of a life existential crisis towards the end of this novel, which is true to Emily Henry. We gotta give props. Also, there's like several moments that made me cry. Several different things. I cried towards the beginning of the novel when Margaret's first talking about her life and what that means. And then also towards the end of the novel, also with Margaret, but also with Alice's storyline as well. She has a few different little storylines going on, and I enjoyed them all. The only thing I wish the book was a bit longer, because she has such a cute group of friends, and I would love to have seen them more on page. I think it was such a good dynamic, and I just would love to explore it a bit deeper, to the point where I'm like, oh, I would probably read a sequel. Emily Henry doesn't write sequels, from what I understand, but I would probably read one, to be fair. Also, another thing to take note of, because I think it's really important, is that the romance itself, they are together for the majority of the novel, which was a big problem with People Meet on Vacation. But People Meet on Vacation had active animosity towards people who just feel like they're married. This feels like two people who are strangers to active animosity, but also like it has so many cute little montage moments in it that really add to the characters and nuances of the relationship. And so I know a lot of people wanted a lot more slow burn, angsty romance where they're kind of pining for one another, not really knowing if they should get together. And then you have the point towards the third act, which is pretty typical in an Henry novel, where the big thing happens and then you're like, oh my god, and then it falls, and then they get, then they realize they love each other. That's not the story structure she went with here, and it was a nice change of pace in my opinion. It did not work for a lot of people, and to be fair, when I was first starting it and they were kind of getting a little heavy, like really early on in the novel, I would say like 20%, I was like, oh, maybe this isn't gonna be for me. I love a romance that builds, but I love a really sexual tension driven romance as well. You just have to hit the right balance, and I feel like for me personally, Alice and Hayden did that. But I understand where people are coming from in their very negative opinions of it. That being said, it was a 5-star, which means it's the first book in this list for a 5-star prediction to be correct. We have a few others coming up. We have 2 more coming up next month, and both of them have high possibilities of being a 5-star. So bear with me. That will be in its own separate video, those 2 books back to back. I'm really excited to read them. I'm going to be buying them, and I've been waiting for them to come to me. I'm just going to buy them because I'm so excited. They're 2 of my most anticipated reads of the year. All 5 of these obviously are. And so yeah, bye.